Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today is a great day for new and old diverse Linux gamers, and this might be my nerdiest video yet. Because a while back I found out Roblox finally worked on Linux again. Finally, you see, earlier about a week ago there was a wine patch that fixed the anti-cheat issue that blocked Roblox from being playable at all on any Linux distro. If you're wondering what is Linux, what are distros, what the hell is wine? Well, I'll tell you all of this in a short bit, so stay to learn about the so-called operating system underdog. I'll try to post timestamps in the video bar for everything I talk about, but apart from that, let's just say I am very excited today, and I'm pretty sure a lot of Linux gamers are as well. That being said, well, let's get started. So first, what is Linux? Well, to start, there are three main operating systems, except one is more of many different ones, but I digress. There is Mac OS, Linux OS, and Windows OS, right? Notice the abbreviation OS. Well, that's basically what all of these are. For the most of the probable Linux users watching this video, I don't need to explain. But for those who don't know what it is, well, let me explain, Think of your computer kind of like a black screen that you can type on, download things, or do anything basic. Actually, that's pretty much what it is from my understanding. And an OS is the abbreviation for the word operating system, and what that is basically a tool or a program that allows your computer to do what it does, like searching something up, appear on your monitor, and for you to navigate your computer easier. It's a way to make what you do with your computer visible, give it graphics, make it visible to a display, Like, let's talk a couple of decades back. A computer was just basically a terminal. If you don't know what that is either, I'll show you an example of what that is. You see, here I am in my Linux terminal, and I can do stuff like download Wine, a resource we're talking about in this video, or download a web browser like Firefox. But with an operating system, I can just go into my built-in app store and get Firefox there. That's basically what an OS is, and it's not just limited to computers and laptops. Your phone, whether it be a simple $80 phone or an overpriced $1,000 phone, it has an operating system to allow you to see and do things much easier without a terminal like I showed you previously. Linux is an operating system, well, actually it's more like many of them. There are these things called Linux distributions, or more well known as distros. These are multiple operating systems made by different creative teams of people, and their themes and configurations are very different, made for specific users or just people who want to go in Linux in general, It's a creative project that I love and fully support. So to summarize, Linux is many different types of operating systems, many different tools for you to do stuff with your computer, but all have a similar basis. This leads us into Wine. You see, Wine is a tool that allows you to use Windows-only programs on Linux. And if you aren't a Linux users, well, you're probably wondering why we have to use Wine, right? Well, let me pull it in a Darman way. And well, you see, due to Linux smaller user base compared to the other main operating systems, many companies don't think to some extent that it's worth it to port programs or games due to the financial sense of porting it to Linux. And well, to explain further, or more simpler to say, there aren't as many Linux users as there are Windows users, and so the company's idea that if they spend time, money porting it to Linux, they won't gain much money, if at all, back. And while this makes sense financially to some extent, it's wrong in an ethical sense, as this is blocking many people from enjoying games and programs, while keeping their privacy, And now that I have that covered, let's emphasize on the game companies not wanting to port it to Linux. And well, by doing that, it leads to creative people making creative solutions, such as virtual machines that act like a computer instead of computer, but demand more to run, or a tool that lets you play Windows games on Linux without that process, kind of like Wine, the thing we're talking about. And well, that's why my son would never do Drime. That's why for the most part, Wine and similar tools exist. So as we've seen, as I've discussed, Wine is a compatibility tool. That's our topic of the day, because you see, Roblox was accessible using Wine for most of the years until about 2015, when Roblox implemented an anti-cheat which blocked any version of Wine, from running Roblox. And as we all know, Roblox has blown up in popularity in recent years, and since there's no support on Linux, it's been a turn off for people considering to even attempt switching to Linux, to the good old Penguin, right? And thankfully this year a very good person, right, named I'mSlappy826 created a patch for Wine that will allow Roblox to play on Linux again, And two other users, Brinker and Robbigan, implemented this patch into pre-patched versions, or more well known as custom builds of Wine for Linux users to use. Brinker made one for Arch Linux users and its distros made on an Arch base, and Robbigan made one for Debian Linux users and other distros with a Debian base. But even more good news, this patch has been made and it's actually been implemented, you know, on the newest release of the official wine on wine 6.11, I think. And this, at least to me and others, is really cool and great for the Linux community, as more people are able to switch to Linux while still keeping their favorite game, Roblox. Currently, I myself am having trouble using Roblox. That's probably because I'm dumb, you know. But this is overall great news to the Linux community, and I'm glad it has come true, as many users have been waiting for this, and unfortunately for the past 5 years, many users have been disappointed when switching to Linux and not being able to play Roblox, or even already existing users who have seen their favorite game, Roblox, become unusable. If you ever find yourself wanting to switch to Linux, I suggest you do if you're willing to. It's a great community that has great support for problems with tons of creative people. I'd like to credit Roblox on Linux and the Roblox fandom wiki for giving me, you know, this information, as well as Reddit. Lol, Reddit funny big chungus. It took me a week to find out because, you know, I'm dumb. But, you know, if you're already a Linux user and want help on how to run Roblox, or if you're thinking or in the process of switching to Linux and want to know how to run Roblox after you're done, you can contact the Grape Juice Discord server for help. I'll try to put their link in the description, and they are a great community based on using the tool Grape Juice, another application, you know, that allows you to run Roblox. You know, I don't think you need it anymore because of the new wine patch, but still, they're a great help. And if you need any help, they'll be there to help you. That's all for this video. Like it if you like it, dislike it if you didn't. And I think we're all glad to see that a favorite game of tons of people has become accessible to long-waiting Linux users. But you could have just used a virtual machine, but I digress. Bye bye.